Alien Girl was furious when she realized the human had given him the wrong ndom. Inside the ship, the human crew moved with purpose, unaware of the curious eyes watching them from a nearby planetary orbit. On the planet Zyphera, life thrived in ways that humans could hardly imagine. Towering crystal trees glimmered like glass towers in the sun, and rivers of liquid light flowed calmly between mountains of violet stone. Zypherans, the planet's native species, were elegant and strange. Their skin glowed softly in shifting colors, and their eyes reflected light like polished gems. They communicated through a mix of musical tones and subtle body gestures, a language that humans could only approximate with technology. Among the humans was Captain Eli Donovan, a seasoned explorer with a reputation for keeping his crew alive even in the strangest of alien encounters. Eli had been tasked with establishing peaceful contact with Zyphera, a planet recently added to the Galactic Council's list of new civilizations. Alongside him was Dr. Maya Singh, the ship's xenobiologist, who had spent months studying Zypheran culture. And finally, there was Lieutenant Jake Morrison, a young engineer whose curiosity often led him into trouble and occasionally saved the mission. As the crew prepared to land on Zyphera, a Zypheran scout observed from a distance. This scout, a young female named Lyra, was known for her fiery temper when things did not go according to plan. Lyra had been assigned to monitor any incoming spacecraft from distant galaxies. When she first detected the humans, her curiosity was immense. She had heard stories of humans, their courage, creativity, and unpredictable behavior, but she had also been warned that humans were chaotic and often careless. The human landing party touched down in a wide meadow where the crystalline trees cast soft reflections on the ground. Lyra, invisible to their sensors, watched as they disembarked. She noticed immediately that something was unusual. Unlike other species that had visited Zyphera, the humans moved with confidence but also clumsiness. Their gestures were imprecise, and their equipment was handled in ways that defied logic, or at least Zypheran logic. Captain Eli activated a translation device, allowing him to communicate with the locals. "Greetings," he said warmly. "We come in peace. We are explorers from Earth." From behind a crystal boulder, Lyra stepped into view, her glowing skin shifting through shades of violet and gold. Her eyes narrowed slightly, curious but cautious. "Humans," she said in melodic tones, her voice amplified through the translator, "your arrival is noted. You are unusual." Maya smiled, stepping forward. "We are eager to learn about your culture and your planet," she said. "We mean no harm." Lyra tilted her head, her long, delicate fingers tracing patterns in the air as she communicated her initial assessment. She was impressed by their courage, but already annoyed by their lack of understanding of basic Zypheran etiquette. "Follow me," Lyra commanded. The humans exchanged glances, unsure whether this was a trap, but Eli, ever the diplomat, nodded and followed. As they walked, Lyra explained some of the customs of Zyphera. "We value precision in all things. Every action has meaning. Every gift, every gesture, every word, it matters. Carelessness is not merely a mistake. It can be offensive." The humans nodded politely, but Jake whispered under his breath, "Sounds like my kind of place full of rules." Lyra's eyes flickered sharply at him, but she did not comment. She had already begun to notice the humans' small mistakes. Jake had accidentally touched a crystal flower, causing its delicate petals to bend unnaturally. Maya quickly apologized, restoring the petals with a small tool she carried, but Eli could see Lyra's temper simmering. Their destination was a large hall carved into a crystal mountain. Inside, Zypheran technology blended seamlessly with natural formations. The walls were alive with soft pulses of light, responding to movement and thought. Lyra led the humans to a central chamber where an elder Zypheran awaited. The elder, Scifi, glowed with deep blue and silver hues. His presence radiated authority, and his eyes seemed to peer into the humans' intentions. "You are far from your home," he said, his voice like a soft symphony. "Yet you come with respect. That is unusual for humans." Eli bowed slightly. "We hope to learn not to impose," he said. Scifi nodded, then looked at Jake. "And are you responsible for these humans?" he asked, his gaze piercing. Jake gulped. "I try to help," he replied. Scifi's gaze softened slightly, but not entirely. He gestured toward a table where objects of Zypheran significance were placed. Before you can fully participate in our customs, you must understand the proper way to handle our artifacts. These objects are not tools or toys, they carry meaning and history. Lyra's eyes glimmered. She could already imagine the disasters that might come from human carelessness. Humans had great potential, yes, but they lacked the subtlety of Scifiran culture. Jake, eager to prove himself, reached for one of the items, a small crystal sphere that shimmered with inner light. "Wow, this is amazing," he said. Lyra's eyes flashed with irritation. "Do not touch it that way," she exclaimed, her voice rising in melody. "You must hold it with both hands, rotate it carefully, and acknowledge its energy." Jake froze, realizing he had made another mistake. He carefully followed her instructions, trying not to crush or drop it. Maya chuckled softly, and even Eli suppressed a smile. The tension eased slightly, but Lyra was still cautious. "Your species has strength and creativity," she said, "but your carelessness could cause harm. You must learn our ways quickly, or there will be complications." Eli nodded. "We will respect your customs, Lyra. We want to understand, not offend." Lyra's expression softened marginally, though her frustration lingered. She had high expectations, and humans rarely met them on the first try. "Very well," she said. "We begin with the ceremony of understanding. It is a test of attention, patience, and respect. Only those who succeed may participate in Scifiran society fully." The humans exchanged glances. Eli felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was exactly the kind of challenge he had hoped for, an opportunity to prove that humanity's adaptability and courage could overcome even the most alien of customs. The ceremony began with a series of trials. The first required careful observation. Lyra handed each human a delicate crystal instrument and instructed them to mimic its patterns of light. Eli focused intently, following each glow. Maya moved gracefully, adjusting her approach as she studied the crystal's rhythm. Jake, on the other hand, fumbled at first, nearly dropping his instrument. Lyra's temper flared slightly, but she allowed him to continue, observing how he learned from his mistakes. "Humans learn through trial," she noted silently. "Perhaps this is their greatest strength and greatest weakness." By the end of the first trial, Eli and Maya had performed nearly perfectly, while Jake's effort, though flawed, showed determination. Lyra allowed a small smile. These humans, while clumsy and unconventional, had a quality Scifarans rarely observed: perseverance. The second trial tested intuition. The humans were asked to interpret a Scifiran musical pattern and replicate its emotional tone using gestures and light from their instruments. Eli felt the music resonate in his chest, translating the melody into careful movements. Maya's motions were precise and elegant, reflecting the intended feeling. Jake, however, improvised, creating a new pattern entirely. Lyra's eyes widened. While technically incorrect, Jake had captured a raw essence of emotion that Scifarans often overlooked. Seraphis observed silently. "Humans may lack subtlety," he mused, "but they have spirit. That may prove invaluable." The final trial required teamwork. The humans had to navigate a complex maze of light and sound, working together to reach the center without disturbing the delicate energy flows that lined the paths. Eli took the lead, guiding his team. Maya offered insight and adjustments, while Jake, despite previous mistakes, contributed ideas that unexpectedly helped them avoid traps. At the maze's center, a small crystal pedestal awaited. Upon it rested a glowing orb of pure light, symbolizing understanding and harmony. The humans approached cautiously, their combined efforts successful. Lyra's eyes softened fully now. She had expected mistakes, frustration, perhaps even failure. Yet these humans had proven something extraordinary. They could adapt, learn, and work together despite differences. "You have passed the first stage," Lyra said, her voice carrying warmth for the first time. "But this is only the beginning. Your journey on Scifira will be full of challenges. You must respect our ways, learn our language, and understand the meaning behind every gesture and choice. Only then will you truly earn your place here." Eli nodded, feeling a mix of relief and excitement. Humanity had faced unknown worlds before, but Scifira was unlike any challenge yet. Yet he knew that humans had a unique power, the ability to face the impossible and adapt in ways no one expected. As the humans left the hall, Lyra trailed behind, her thoughts focused on these strange, unpredictable creatures. Perhaps she had misjudged them initially. Perhaps humans, in their chaos and curiosity, could teach Scifarans something about courage, creativity, and resilience. And so the adventure began. The morning sun rose over Zyphera's crystalline forests, painting the sky in shades of lavender and gold. The human crew of the Aurora had been given quarters in a soft, glowing crystal lodge, a gift from Lyra to help them adjust to Zypheran life. Eli awoke first, stretching and taking in the serene view. Despite the beauty, he felt a familiar thrill of challenge. This planet demanded more than mere curiosity. It required attention, adaptability, and patience. Maya stirred beside him, her mind already running through the day's plans. She had been documenting Zypheran flora, hoping to discover medicinal properties unknown to humans. "We have so much to learn," she murmured, half to herself, "and so little time." Jake, as usual, was already awake, fiddling with a small human gadget he had brought along. His fascination with Zypheran technology often bordered on obsession, and Eli suspected it would get him into trouble sooner or later. Lyra arrived promptly, her glowing skin shifting through subtle colors as she greeted them. "Today," she said, her voice melodic but tinged with exasperation, "you will accompany me to the Market of Unity. There you will witness Zypheran trade, culture, and ritual in action. But remember, one careless act can cause offense." The humans nodded solemnly. Eli felt the weight of responsibility. He knew that one small mistake could undo the trust they had begun to build. The Market of Unity was unlike anything the humans had imagined. Crystalline stalls shimmered with merchandise, glowing fruits that floated gently above bowls, textiles that changed color depending on the observer's mood, and small devices that emitted soft, musical tones when touched. Zypherans moved gracefully between stalls, their gestures a form of social language. Lyra guided the humans carefully, explaining subtleties that they might miss. "When offering payment," she said, "do not hand it directly to the seller. Place it on the offering crystal first. The intention matters more than the amount, and when receiving items, accept with both hands and bow slightly." Eli tried to commit every detail to memory. Maya, always observant, nodded politely, mimicking Lyra's gestures. Jake, however, struggled. His curiosity often outweighed caution. At one point, he reached for a glowing fruit before Lyra could explain its ritual importance. "Careful," Lyra exclaimed, a flash of irritation crossing her features. "You must ask first, or it will be disrespectful." Jake froze, realizing his mistake. He quickly returned the fruit to its stall, bowing awkwardly. The Zypheran vendor tilted her head in approval, acknowledging the apology. Lyra's glowing skin shifted to a softer hue, indicating that she was willing to continue, though her temper remained just below the surface. The humans proceeded deeper into the market. Eli noticed the subtle interactions between Zypherans, how they communicated not only through words but through light, movement, and music. Every action had meaning. A hand raised too quickly could signify anger. A gesture too slow could seem deceitful. "This is amazing," Maya whispered, scanning the stalls. "Every object, every movement, it's all symbolic. It's like an entire language of culture embedded in everything." Lyra nodded. "Yes, and humans, while capable of learning, often overlook these signals. You must be attentive." As they walked, Jake's attention was drawn to a stall selling peculiar crystalline objects. One in particular glowed with a pulsating light that seemed to resonate with his curiosity. Without thinking, he picked it up and examined it. The object reacted instantly, projecting a small holographic scene of a Zypheran festival. Lyra's eyes widened in alarm. "Do not touch that without permission," she exclaimed. Jake froze. I'm sorry, I didn't know." "You must ask before interacting with any object," Lyra said firmly. "Every item has meaning. Disturbing it carelessly is improper." Eli quickly stepped in. "Jake, slow down, follow the instructions. Observe first, then act." Jake nodded, a little embarrassed, but couldn't help feeling fascinated. Humans thrived on exploration, and the alien world called to his instincts. As they continued, they reached a small circular platform where Zypherans gathered to exchange items in a ceremonial way. Lyra explained the process. Each participant places their offering on the central crystal. It is inspected, acknowledged, and returned with a blessing. You must observe carefully and then participate in the same manner. Do not rush. Eli, Maya, and Jake each placed their offering, small gifts from Earth representing their culture, a smooth river stone, a tiny woven bracelet, and a glowing Earth crystal. Lyra watched closely, noting their adherence to ritual. Eli and Maya moved gracefully, earning subtle nods from the Zypherans. Jake, however, fumbled slightly, accidentally turning his bracelet in a way that changed the energy pattern it emitted. Lyra's temper flared, her colors shifting sharply. "Jake Morrison," she said in musical tones. "This is not a toy, do not alter the energy flow." Jake's face turned red. I was trying to help," he said. Lyra exhaled, the glowing hues of her skin softening, though she was still clearly frustrated. "Humans mean well," she said, "but your impulsive nature can cause confusion." Despite the minor chaos, the humans learned quickly. Eli and Maya's steady guidance helped Jake adjust. He realized that understanding Xiferan culture required more than curiosity. It demanded respect, patience, and observation. The next part of the market adventure brought them to a Xiferan kitchen, where floating ingredients combined in midair to form intricate dishes. Lyra handed the humans utensils made of light, instructing them on preparation and presentation. The challenge was simple for Xiferans, but for humans, it was a test of patience and dexterity. Jake nearly dropped a floating orb of energy, and it bounced harmlessly into the air. "I'm not sure I'm getting this," he muttered. Maya guided him gently. "Match the rhythm," she said, "and feel the flow of energy, don't force it." Eli, focused and calm, manipulated the ingredients with care. The final dish, a simple Earth-style salad adapted with Xiferan techniques, was completed successfully. Lyra nodded approvingly, noting the humans' ability to adapt. By midday, they were invited to observe a cultural performance. Xiferans sang in harmonic tones while their bodies emitted colored light, creating a mesmerizing display. The humans watched in awe, feeling emotions conveyed not only through melody, but through shimmering color patterns and subtle motion. Lyra explained, "This is the dance of balance. It is both artistic and spiritual. To understand us, you must see beyond words, feel the intention." Maya tilted her head, trying to mimic the gestures with her hands. Eli closed his eyes, absorbing the patterns, while Jake, well, he fidgeted, struggling to grasp the nuance. Lyra's patience was tested, but she allowed them to observe, knowing understanding would come with time. The final challenge of the day involved a small misunderstanding, one that would leave Lyra both furious and impressed. A Xiferan elder had asked the humans to deliver a message to another stall, using a small, glowing token that symbolized trust. Eli took the token, intending to be careful. Jake, however, misread the symbol and accidentally handed it to the wrong stall. Lyra's glowing skin shifted to bright red in irritation. "Humans!" she exclaimed, her voice rising like a minor chord in a symphony. "This is not a trivial matter. That token carries meaning. You have given it to the wrong participant." Jake's eyes widened. "Oh no, I didn't. I thought." Eli stepped forward, trying to mediate. "We'll fix it immediately. Can you guide us to the correct stall?" Lyra took a deep breath, calming herself. "Yes, but be aware, your mistakes can create confusion. Observe carefully this time. Every action matters." As they corrected the misunderstanding, the humans realized something important. Humans often relied on trial and error. On Xiphera, errors could have consequences, but with careful observation, persistence, and humility, even mistakes could become lessons. By evening, the humans were exhausted but exhilarated. The day had been a mixture of awe, confusion, and growth. Eli reflected on their experiences. Humanity's greatest strength was not perfection. It was adaptability, creativity, and the ability to learn from errors. Lyra, meanwhile, walked behind them silently. Though her initial anger had flared, she now felt a grudging respect. These humans, in all their clumsy curiosity, had something remarkable. They might not yet understand every nuance of Xiferan culture, but they had the spirit to try. And perhaps, she thought, that was more valuable than flawless tradition. The humans returned to their crystal lodge, sharing stories and laughter. Jake recounted the token mishap with exaggerated drama, causing Maya to giggle. Eli smiled at their camaraderie, understanding that bonding and teamwork would be as vital to survival here as any knowledge of alien customs. As night fell over Xiphera, the sky shimmered with distant galaxies, and the soft glow of crystal trees bathed the landscape in light. Lyra watched from the shadows, contemplating the strange, unpredictable creatures called humans. She had expected chaos, and she had received it, but she had also seen courage, creativity, and determination. And she realized, with a mix of frustration and admiration, that humans were capable of more than even Xiferans could imagine. The adventures on Xiphera were only beginning. and already the humans had begun to leave their mark. The next morning on Scifi began with a cool breeze flowing through the crystalline trees, their branches chiming softly as light touched their edges. Captain Eli Donovan and his crew were awake early, preparing for a day Lyra had promised would test their abilities in ways they had never imagined. "You said today would be important," Jake said, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Do we have to do more experiments?" "Not experiments," Eli corrected gently, "but challenges, and not just physical ones. These will test our observation, patience, and teamwork." Maya smiled, already adjusting her field notes in her hand. "I think I'm ready. Whatever Lyra has planned, I want to see it." Lyra arrived promptly, her form glowing in calm shades of soft violet. She regarded the humans carefully. "Today you will enter the Crystal Labyrinth," she explained. "It is a place where physical skill, logic, and cultural understanding are all tested. Many Zypherans train here for years to pass the trials. Humans have not attempted it before. You may fail, but your determination will be measured." Eli glanced at his crew. "Then we try our best together." Lyra's skin shimmered with approval. "Very well, follow me." The labyrinth entrance was carved into the side of a mountain that glittered like a giant diamond under Zyphera's twin suns. A doorway of twisting crystal paths and shifting walls opened before them. The walls themselves seemed alive, reflecting light and creating illusions. The floor emitted a faint hum, responding to movement and intention. Lyra instructed, "The labyrinth changes with each step. You must not only move carefully but also interpret the signals of the crystal. Some paths are illusions, some paths require trust and cooperation. Remember, one wrong action can trigger confusion traps or energy barriers. Observe first, act second." The humans nodded. Eli led the way, holding the small scanner that indicated safe paths, though the device could not predict illusions created by the labyrinth itself. Maya moved beside him, analyzing patterns and shapes as the walls shifted. Jake lagged slightly behind, fascinated by the glowing crystals, occasionally touching them despite Lyra's warnings. "Jake," Eli hissed, "don't touch the walls, wait until we know it's safe." Jake jumped back embarrassed. "Sorry, I just wanted to see how it works." Lyra, observing from above with her advanced sensors, noted their progress. "Humans are curious," she mused. "It is both their strength and their weakness." The labyrinth was filled with challenges designed to test more than brute strength. The first trial was the maze of reflection. Walls projected illusions of themselves, making paths appear endless. Only by observing subtle differences in the crystal shimmer could one discern the correct path. Eli studied the reflections carefully, noting tiny distortions that indicated the true route. Maya, using her knowledge of symmetry, confirmed his observations. Jake, however, became distracted by a glowing pattern that looked like a floating animal. He reached out, causing a wall to shift unexpectedly and nearly trapping them in a false corridor. Lyra's melodic voice echoed through the labyrinth. "Focus, Jake. You must rely on observation, not impulse." Jake gritted his teeth, taking a deep breath and paying attention. Slowly, he followed Eli and Maya's lead. They reached the exit of the maze of reflection, where the walls shimmered back into neutral crystal. Eli allowed himself a quiet sigh of relief. The next trial was the Chamber of Coordination, a series of floating crystal platforms suspended above a pit of softly glowing energy. Each platform could move only when two people coordinated their steps. Missteps would cause a platform to collapse temporarily, forcing the humans to restart. Eli moved carefully, signaling Maya to step in tandem. Jake hesitated but mimicked their timing. The first few steps were shaky. Platforms swayed, threatening to collapse. Eli reminded them to communicate. "Now, Jake, left then right," he instructed. Jake mirrored their movements, finally grasping the rhythm. By the third set of platforms, all three were moving in perfect sync. Lyra watched silently, impressed by how quickly humans could learn to cooperate under pressure. "You may lack precision," she thought, "but you have determination. That is a rare trait." After passing the platforms, the humans entered the Hall of Symbols, a room filled with glowing inscriptions on walls and floor. The challenge was to interpret the meaning behind each symbol and step only on the correct sequence. A misstep could trigger illusions or create a maze loop. Maya's knowledge of alien biology and her keen observation allowed her to notice patterns. Symbols representing life cycles formed a sequence that led to the center. Eli guided the team, signaling when to step or pause. Jake, despite a few mistakes, began to notice patterns on his own. Each symbol tells a story, Maya said softly. If we understand the meaning, we can move safely. At the center, a large crystal pedestal awaited. Upon it rested the orb of clarity, a glowing sphere that pulsed with a rhythm similar to a heartbeat. Lyra explained that only by placing their hands together and syncing their intentions could they retrieve the orb. The humans approached cautiously. Eli placed his hands first, followed by Maya and then Jake. At first, nothing happened. Jake felt nervous, unsure if his mistakes had ruined the attempt. Focus on intention, Lyra's voice guided them. Your unity creates the path forward. Eli closed his eyes, concentrating. Maya did the same, aligning her thoughts with his. Jake mirrored their focus, willing himself to contribute without panic. Slowly, the orb lifted from its pedestal, floating gently into their hands. Light from the orb spread through the chamber, bathing the walls in calming colors. Lyra allowed herself a small smile. You have passed the trial. Humans have shown a rare ability, adaptation under pressure. You rely on teamwork, intuition, and determination. Traits Xiferans admire, though often struggle to master. The humans cheered quietly, elated. For all their mistakes earlier in the day, they had succeeded where even some Xiferans might have faltered. Their final trial, however, was the most unexpected. The labyrinth walls began to shift violently, creating a maze filled with misleading paths and glowing obstacles. Sounds echoed strangely, and reflections created the illusion of more passages than existed. Eli quickly realized that their senses could not be fully trusted. Lyra's voice guided them. This trial tests focus and humility. You must rely not only on observation but on each other's insights. Only unity will lead you to safety. Eli led, but Maya suggested a different path, noticing subtle patterns he had overlooked. He followed her lead. Jake, surprisingly, identified a reflection that hit a correct path. They moved together, each correcting and supporting the others. The labyrinth forced them into close proximity, testing not only coordination but patience. At one point, Jake accidentally triggered a minor energy trap, causing the walls to hum loudly. Lyra's voice, calm but sharp, reminded him to maintain control. Focus, Jake, Eli whispered. We can handle this together. By combining observation, reasoning, and teamwork, the humans navigated the shifting labyrinth. The exit finally appeared as a soft, glowing portal, welcoming them back to daylight. They emerged exhausted, sweaty, and exhilarated. Lyra was waiting, her glow reflecting pride and relief. Humans, she said, you have achieved something few Xiferans manage. You learn quickly, adapt under pressure, and most importantly, you support each other. Your species may be chaotic, but you possess qualities we can respect and admire. Jake grinned, still catching his breath. I didn't think we'd make it, he admitted. Eli patted him on the shoulder. We did, because we worked together. That's what humans do. We adapt, we learn, and we persevere. Maya smiled at Lyra. We've learned a lot today. The labyrinth wasn't just about skill. It was about understanding each other and working as a team. Lyra nodded. Exactly. Xiferans sometimes forget that strength comes not only from perfection, but from the willingness to try, fail, and succeed together. Humans have a unique power. You may not realize it yet, but your spirit is remarkable. As the humans walked back to the lodge, the sun setting over the crystalline mountains cast long shadows, creating a magical scene. Eli reflected on their journey. Humanity had faced countless challenges, from uncharted lands to space itself, and each time they adapted. This world, strange and beautiful, tested them in new ways, but the core of humanity shone through: courage, curiosity, and resilience. Lyra followed silently, a mixture of exasperation and admiration in her thoughts. Humans were unpredictable, impulsive, and often reckless, but they also had an inner strength and unity that few species could match. Perhaps these humans, she realized, could one day achieve something even Xiferans could not. And somewhere deep inside, she admitted to herself, she looked forward to seeing what they would accomplish next. The humans returned to their lodge, tired but satisfied. Eli knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new misunderstandings, and new opportunities to prove that humanity's adaptability was truly extraordinary. The morning sky over Xiphera was unusually dark, even for a planet with twin suns. Eli, Maya, and Jake stepped out of their glowing lodge, sensing an unusual tension in the air. The wind whispered through the crystalline trees, carrying a strange resonance that vibrated against their ears. Lyra had called an early meeting at the Hall of Elements, and the humans had a feeling that today's challenge would be far more dangerous than the labyrinth. Lyra approached, her skin glowing in shifting tones of violet and amber. Her expression was serious, almost solemn. "Today," she said, "you will face the storm of crystals. It is not merely a test of skill. It tests courage, judgment, and resilience. Many Zypherans fear this trial. Few humans have ever witnessed it. You must rely on each other as never before." Eli's eyes narrowed, the familiar thrill of a challenge taking over. "We're ready. Whatever comes, we face it together." The humans followed Lyra to the edge of a vast crystalline plateau. Beyond it stretched a valley of jagged crystal spires, each emitting an eerie glow. In the distance, clouds of shifting crystal shards swirled in a strange storm, moving with intelligence rather than randomness. The storm was alive, or at least it seemed to respond to thought and movement. Lyra explained the rules. "You must cross the valley to reach the Sanctum of Light, a structure protected by ancient crystal energy. The storm is volatile. If you misstep, it can strike with force, injuring or disorienting. It reacts to fear and confusion. Keep calm, work together, trust each other. And remember, your actions affect the storm." Jake's eyes widened. "It looks impossible." Eli put a hand on his shoulder. "Nothing is impossible if we stay focused, stick together, observe patterns, move carefully." They began the trek, stepping cautiously onto the crystal spires. The storm raged nearby, shards of crystal spinning in the air, reflecting light like blades. Each step caused the ground beneath them to vibrate, reacting to their weight. Eli led the way, scanning for stable surfaces while Maya calculated energy patterns to anticipate the storm's movements. Jake, as usual, found himself distracted. A small shard floated close, reflecting an image of the twin suns. He reached out, almost touching it, and the storm shivered violently. Lyra's voice rang sharply in his mind through the translator. "Do not interfere impulsively. The storm senses disturbance." Jake froze, heart pounding. Okay, I'll follow instructions," he muttered. The first section of the valley tested physical coordination. Platforms of crystal rose and fell like waves, each moving in subtle patterns. One misstep could send a person sliding down into jagged crystal formations below. Eli carefully timed each move, signaling when to step forward. Maya mirrored him perfectly. Jake struggled at first, misjudging the rhythm, but Eli guided him with firm, calm directions. Slowly, he found the timing, and they passed safely. Next came the chamber of echoing fear, a zone where the storm amplified internal doubts and anxiety. Each step forward projected a shimmering illusion, magnifying their insecurities. Eli saw visions of failure, humans falling from great heights, their efforts wasted. Maya felt the storm create scenes of natural disasters, confusing her calculations. Jake saw illusions of being trapped, helpless against the storm. Lyra's voice rang like a clarion bell, calm but commanding. "Do not let the illusions control you. Your courage shapes the path. Face your fears and the storm will respond." Eli took a deep breath. "We've faced worse on Earth. Remember the lessons from the labyrinth. Stay together." Maya nodded, her eyes steady. "We observe, we analyze, we act. Don't panic, don't doubt ourselves." Jake swallowed hard, forcing himself to focus. "Okay, we can do this, together." As they moved, the storm shimmered and shifted. Crystal shards bent away, creating a narrow path. The illusions continued, but the humans' unity and determination pushed them forward. Step by step, they advanced, proving the lesson Lyra had been teaching. Courage combined with collaboration could influence even the most chaotic forces. They reached a plateau where the storm's intensity increased dramatically. Wind-like currents of crystal shards whipped past them, cutting the air with sharp precision. Here, speed and trust were crucial. Eli led, but Maya noticed a subtle pattern in the shard currents. "Follow my direction," she said. "The shards curve in cycles. If we move with the flow, we'll pass safely." Jake, now fully focused, followed her lead. Together, the three humans moved as one, timing each step perfectly with the storm's rhythm. The shards brushed past their shoulders, but none struck them. Lyra observed from a distance, glowing faintly in approval. Suddenly, a shard collided with Jake's arm, knocking him off balance. He stumbled and fell onto a lower platform, but Eli was already there, extending a hand. "I've got you," he shouted. Jake grasped it tightly. Maya quickly stabilized both of them. The storm seemed to pause for a moment, as if acknowledging their resolve. The humans exchanged determined glances. They were not perfect, but they would not fail. The next challenge was the Bridge of Reflection, a narrow crystalline path stretching over a deep chasm. Below, the storm churned violently, its shards forming vortexes of sharp light. Each step required trust, balance, and concentration. Eli led, placing each foot carefully, watching for microshifts in the crystal. Maya followed, scanning for vibrations and subtle energy pulses. Jake, though nervous, moved with growing confidence. Lyra's lessons had taken root. He no longer acted impulsively. He observed first, acted second. Halfway across, the storm intensified. Crystal shards whipped toward them like spinning knives. Eli moved instinctively, guiding Jake to safety, while Maya recalculated the timing of the next steps. They advanced steadily, despite the chaos. "Almost there," Eli called, his voice carrying above the storm's roar. The humans reached the final platform where the sanctum of light awaited. It was a massive crystalline structure glowing softly with a serene, protective energy. The storm did not touch it, its power curiously restrained around the sanctum. Lyra appeared beside them, her skin glowing warmly. "You have succeeded," she said. "Few humans or Xiferans reach this point. Your courage, teamwork, and adaptability have carried you through a trial that tests the very essence of resilience. You have earned respect here." Jake collapsed onto the ground, exhausted but elated. I can't believe we made it," he said breathlessly. Maya smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We did it because we stayed calm and worked together. That's what humans do best." Eli looked at Lyra. "Thank you for guiding us. The storm was unlike anything we've experienced, but your lessons helped us succeed." Lyra's glowing form softened, her expression one of admiration. "Humans are unpredictable," she said. "You act without overthinking, yet you learn from each misstep. That is your greatest strength. You embrace challenges even when failure is possible, and that courage sets you apart from many species." The humans rested inside the sanctum, reflecting on their journey. Eli realized that Xiferan trials, while alien and demanding, mirrored the challenges humans had faced throughout history. Unknown worlds, unpredictable dangers, and the need to rely on ingenuity and courage. Jake, still catching his breath, looked at the glowing walls. "I didn't know we could do something like this," he said softly. "You can," Eli replied. "Humans are more capable than even we sometimes believe. That's why we explore, learn, and adapt. That's what makes us us." Maya added, "And the lessons we learn here are not just for survival. They teach us patience, respect, and collaboration, skills that matter in every world." Lyra watched them quietly, reflecting on the humans' journey. They had faced illusions, danger, and chaos, yet emerged stronger. She realized that while humans lacked precision and were often impulsive, they possessed qualities Xiferans struggled to cultivate: courage under pressure, adaptability, and the ability to unite in the face of adversity. As the sun set over the crystalline mountains, painting the valley in violet and gold, Eli and his crew prepared to leave the sanctum. Their journey on Xiphera was far from over, but one truth was clear. Humans, with all their imperfections, could thrive even in the most challenging alien environments. The storm of crystals had tested their skill, their courage, and their unity. And they had passed, not because they were flawless, but because they refused to give up. Lyra followed them as they left, her thoughts filled with a growing sense of respect. Perhaps humans were more than chaotic creatures. Perhaps they were a species that could rise to challenges Xiferans had never imagined. And in time, she might see them change the galaxy in ways even the Council could not predict. And somewhere deep inside, she knew one thing for certain: the humans were far from finished. Their story on Xiphera and in the stars was only beginning. The day began with a quiet hum throughout the crystalline forests of Xiphera. Eli, Maya, and Jake awoke early, sensing the anticipation in the air. Lyra had summoned them to the council hall, a vast structure of crystal and light, where the elders of Xiphera had gathered. Today would not be another test of observation or skill. It would be a challenge to prove humanity itself. As they approached, Eli noted the sheer scale of the hall. Towers of crystal stretched upward, their surfaces reflecting the twin suns in dazzling patterns. Inside, the elders sat in a semicircle, their glowing forms pulsing with authority. At the center stood Seraphiz, the eldest of the Xiferan Council, radiating deep blue and silver hues. Lyra greeted the humans first. "This is the final stage," she said, her voice a mix of pride and caution. You have passed the labyrinth and the storm of crystals. But now you must demonstrate something more, understanding, courage, and ingenuity under the greatest challenge Sci-Fi has to offer. Eli's jaw tightened. We are ready, he said. Maya nodded in agreement, and Jake, though nervous, squared his shoulders. They had faced illusions, storms, and complex trials, and each time they had emerged stronger. Seraphis raised a hand, and the chamber dimmed. A soft, glowing path appeared before them, leading into a darkened cavern at the heart of the council grounds. This is the heart of Sci-Fi, Seraphis explained. It is the source of our planet's energy, our culture, and our life. It is protected by the sentinels of crystal, beings that respond to intention, courage, and wisdom. You must enter, retrieve the orb of harmony, and return it safely. Many have tried, few have succeeded. Humans, you may be the first of your kind to attempt this. Jake's eyes widened. Sentinels like robots? Lyra shook her head. Not machines. They are alive in mind and crystal. They judge without bias. They test not only action but heart. You must prove yourselves worthy. Eli glanced at his crew. Then let's go. The entrance to the cavern was vast, lined with jagged crystal formations that shimmered in dark blues and purples. As the humans stepped inside, a soft vibration ran through the floor. From the shadows, figures of pure crystal emerged, the sentinels. Tall and elegant, they moved with slow precision, their bodies reflecting light like 1,000 mirrored surfaces. Their eyes glowed with intelligence, and a soft resonance filled the cavern as if the stones themselves were speaking. One sentinel approached. Its voice echoed in the minds of the humans. State your purpose, prove your intention. Eli stepped forward. We come in peace. We wish to understand your world and prove ourselves capable of responsibility, respect, and courage. The sentinel's glow shifted slightly. Your words are known. Your heart will be tested. The humans advanced cautiously, aware that the sentinels could detect even the smallest misstep. The first trial was the passage of shadows, a narrow corridor where every movement cast amplified reflections. If they acted with fear or hesitation, illusions would appear, blocking the path or creating traps. Eli led, steady and calm. Maya followed, analyzing each shadow carefully. Jake moved last, forcing himself to ignore the frightening illusions. The corridor tested their focus, patience, and mental clarity. Shadows of past mistakes appeared before them, images of Jake's earlier fumbles, Eli's doubts, Maya's miscalculations. But the humans pressed on, confronting the illusions with determination and teamwork. At the end of the corridor, the next challenge awaited, the crystal convergence. Multiple crystal pathways twisted upward, each requiring precise timing and coordination to navigate. A single misstep could activate a defensive energy pulse. Eli calculated the timing, signaling when to step. Maya observed the energy patterns, pointing out subtle shifts in the light. Jake, now fully focused, followed their lead with perfect synchronization. For the first time in Sci-Fi, humans moved as one in absolute harmony, their teamwork allowing them to pass unscathed. Beyond the convergence lay the chamber of reflection, where the orb of harmony rested on a pedestal of pure crystal. The chamber itself projected visions of the future, possible triumphs and failures, consequences of carelessness, and rewards for courage. The orb pulsed with energy, responding to the presence of the humans. A sentinel emerged. To claim the orb, it said, you must demonstrate understanding, courage, and the unity of purpose. Only those who act with trust and clarity may succeed. Eli stepped forward. We have faced the labyrinth, the storm, and trials of the mind and body. We have learned from our mistakes. We act together as one. We are ready. Maya extended her hands, placing them alongside Eli's, and Jake did the same. The orb responded, glowing brighter, resonating with their combined focus. Suddenly, a pulse of energy surged through the chamber. Crystal barriers rose, blocking their path. The sentinels tested them further, creating a series of rapid challenges. Shifting platforms, illusions of separation, and puzzles requiring observation, timing, and courage. Jake faltered at first, but Eli's calm guidance and Maya's insights helped him adapt quickly. Step by step, the humans overcame each obstacle, showing not just skill but trust and perseverance. Finally, they reached the pedestal. Eli and Maya carefully lifted the orb together while Jake stabilized the platform. The sentinels observed silently, their glow brightening in approval. You have succeeded, the sentinel spoke. You have shown understanding, courage, unity, and respect. The orb of harmony responds to your presence. Humans, you are worthy. The orb floated gently into their hands, glowing brighter than ever. The chamber itself seemed to vibrate with approval, and the walls of crystal shimmered like a living entity. As the humans turned to leave, a final challenge emerged. The exit path collapsed under the weight of the orb's energy. The crystal platforms began to fall into a deep chasm, leaving only a narrow, twisting path. Eli's heart raced. "We must move carefully," he instructed. Maya analyzed the shifting crystals, calculating the safest sequence. Jake, though exhausted, maintained focus, following their guidance without hesitation. Step by step, they navigated the collapsing pathway, supporting each other when a crystal tilted or wavered. At last, they emerged from the cavern, the orb of harmony safely in their hands. Lyra waited, her skin glowing in vibrant gold and violet. "You have done it," she said, her voice carrying pride and awe. "Humans, you have achieved what few Zypherans manage. You faced trials of body, mind, and spirit, and you succeeded because of your courage, adaptability, and unity." Scifi stepped forward. "I have witnessed many species across the galaxy," he said. "Few display the qualities that humans possess. You are resourceful, courageous, and capable of learning faster than almost any species. You respect life, you respect culture, and you honor your companions. These are the traits that define true strength." Eli bowed. "Thank you. Humanity's greatest strength is its ability to adapt, to learn, and to work together. We hope to bring these qualities not only to Zyphera, but to the galaxy as a whole." Lyra's glow shifted to a soft, warm hue. "You have shown us that perfection is not required to achieve greatness. Courage, determination, and respect are far more powerful than flawless technique. Humans, you are remarkable." Jake grinned. "I still can't believe we made it through everything, the labyrinth, the storm, and now the heart of Zyphera." Maya laughed softly. "We made it because we trusted each other. That's what matters most." As the humans and Lyra returned the orb of harmony to its pedestal in the council hall, the chamber pulsed with light, acknowledging their success. The elders of Zyphera observed, nodding in approval. Scifi spoke again. "Humans, your journey on Zyphera is an example for all species. You have proven that courage, intelligence, and unity can overcome even the most impossible challenges. The council welcomes you as friends and equals." Eli looked at his crew, pride swelling in his chest. They had faced incredible challenges, learned new ways of thinking, and demonstrated humanity's adaptability and spirit. On a world filled with strange rules, dangerous trials, and living crystal storms, humans had succeeded where few others could. Lyra followed them quietly, reflecting on their journey. She had initially expected chaos, mistakes, and impulsive behavior. And yet, she had witnessed determination, courage, and ingenuity beyond what she had imagined possible. Perhaps humans were a species that could achieve greatness not because of perfection, but because they refused to give up, adapted to every challenge, and supported one another through adversity. The day ended with the humans standing atop a crystalline ridge, gazing at Zyphera's glowing horizon. The twin suns dipped low, casting long reflections across the landscape. Eli felt a deep satisfaction. Humanity had faced the unknown and had risen to the challenge. Maya placed a hand on his shoulder. "We've grown a lot in just a few days. Imagine what we could achieve with more time, more worlds, more challenges." Jake smiled, holding the orb carefully. "I can't wait to see what comes next." Lyra's glow shifted softly, almost like a smile. "You have passed every test, but the galaxy is vast and challenges will grow greater. Still, I now know one truth. Humans, in your imperfection and determination, are capable of greatness beyond expectation." Eli looked out at the horizon, feeling hope and resolve. Humanity's story on Zyphera had come to a remarkable end, but it was only the beginning of the adventures ahead. They had proven that courage, adaptability, and teamwork could overcome even the strangest worlds. And somewhere deep inside, each of them knew that humans, unpredictable, creative, and determined, would continue to shine wherever the stars led them. The adventure on Zyphera was complete. The humans had learned, adapted, and triumphed. And the galaxy would never underestimate them again.